Okay, so this is my Texas Chainsaw Massacre story. I talked to a friend of mine about this the other day, and he said actually quite an interesting story. It's kind of like a quest, like a guy's quest to find a movie. So to start this story off, you need to go back to around 92-ish. It's very much the early 90s. I was between around 11 years old, and I just started to really kind of get into the sort of like scary stories, and scary movie sort of thing. I mean, you've got to remember like Erie and Indiana, the TV show had come out of a kid that like quested weird stuff in his neighborhood. Then you had the X-Files come out. So all these spooky stories. I was kind of getting into that sort of thing. And I kind of wanted to get into horror movies. Obviously, I'd seen them. My mum had rented them out before, but I'd never been allowed to watch them. I'd seen the posters in the video shops, seen the trailers on TVs for certain ones. I kind of wanted to watch them. Now, I know I'd seen things like Ghostbusters and Gremlins and stuff like that, which it's kind of horror, but it's not at the same time. There's like good films that's called family films. Even though Gremlins is a 15, it's still like, it was a family film for us. It was always around Christmas time as well. So I kind of wanted to get into horror films. So I said to my mum, can you go get me a horror film? The first one she got was A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. I wanted to get Freddy's Dead, but it wasn't available at the time because the video shop only gets a few copies in and it had just been released. So I kind of wanted that one as it had just been released and the hype and the trailers were kind of out for it on the telly. I wanted that, but sadly she couldn't get it, so she got to be Freddy's Dead, the Dream Child. No, Freddy's Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. And I remember watching it, and I was with my friend Danny Gunner, who came around to watch because he was desperate to watch it as well. And it was great. As an 11-year-old, the film was just like, there was gory stuff, there was violence, there was some funny jokes, there was all kinds of craziness going on in that film. As an adult, it's not the best of the Nightmare on Elm Street films, but it was kind of like my first one. And then a week later, she actually managed to get Freddy's Dead, and we watched that as well with the 3D glasses and all that stuff in it. And I was just like, and I thought these were amazing. So of course, that's when my quest started to see all these horror movies, things like American Wealth in London and Halloween, Friday the 13th. All these films I kind of like really wanted to see that I'd heard about it, and also being a guy that sort of like used to, as a child, lived in the video shop. Like my summers were just spent with my pocket money going and rent videos and stuff. So I'd walk around the video shop, seeing all these crazy covers and thinking, oh my God, that must be amazing. Look at that cover, it's crazy. 9 times out of 10 when you got it home, it was rubbish. But it's not the point. It was kind of like a delving into something I'd never seen before. So I started to go through all the horror films. And there was one that eluded me. A film that is the title of the thumbnail and all that stuff. It's what Chucky's holding now. It's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, I was going through all the films and my mum was renting them out for me. Obviously, I wasn't old enough. I'm actually going to tell you a funny story now. I actually got myself a fake ID to buy and rent movies. Like most kids get a fake ID to get alcohol and cigarettes and stuff. No, I got it so I could personally rent movies and buy them. The funniest thing is that even though I had my fake ID, and it did work in certain places, but it worked in the video shop, even though the guy that owned it knew me, watched me grow up, knew how old I was, but also knew my mum and my nan and stuff. So I think he kind of like just went, oh, it's him, it doesn't matter. He used to rent me them anyway, so I don't think I need the ID, but I used to always give him the ID, he used to look at it, smile, and then just hand me the video. But anyway, he can't get in trouble now, the shop shut down. There's no video shops anywhere anymore. So yeah, so I got to watch all these films. So yeah, as I say, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre eluded me because it was kind of like every time that you'd watch a film, someone would reference it. Just like here in The Lost Boys.
Talk about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And also in countless other films. Like no matter what film, like these certain films will come up, there'll be something like creepy or slightly dusty, or there'll be like an eerie sort ofness, and there'll be like something gory or some dead body hanging, and people would reference the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So that became a film. I wanted to see this film. I wanted to know what people were references. What was this movie? And I couldn't find it anywhere. I went to my local video shop. I'd searched all up and down the aisles looking for it, all across the horror section, couldn't find it anywhere. I would go from shop to shop to shop trying to find it, whether it be like a Woolworths used to do videos, used to go in there looking for it, couldn't find it anywhere. Everywhere I went, I looked for it. Jumble sales, like like charity shops. Could not find this movie anywhere. Couldn't work out why. So eventually I went into the video shop and said to the guy behind the counter, do you know if you have a copy of Texas Chainsaw Massacre? This is where he hit me with the most saddest news of my childhood. By this point, I'm about 14, 15. And he hit me with some very sad news. That in the early 80s, led by a woman named Mary Whitehouse, this whole thing happened where they put censorship over videos. It kind of, something to do with video censorship wasn't the same as cinema censorship. So things could release on video that weren't allowed in the cinema. And all of these films suddenly became banned. So when they wanted to get rid of, so basically they decided they wanted to get a mass censorship thing going because they decided films were really bad and they had to get rid of them. And they banned loads of films. And these were films like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Cannibal Holocaust, I Spit on Your Grave. I think The Exorcist was banned. I Spit on Your Grave. Evil Dead. The Evil Dead, the legend that is the Evil Dead now, was actually banned as well. So all these films were gone. Also, he was banned for Child's Play 3. But that's for a different reason that come up for that. That was to do with a young boy being killed, and it kind of got linked to the film, and then they banned the film. That was a bit later on. But yeah, so they banned all these films, and one of the main ones was Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it was like, you cannot see this film in the UK. And I was devastated. I was like, you've got to be joking. He said, no, we can't rent it, we can't give it out, we don't have it anymore. It's gone. Like, the film was gone. So of course I'm now just like gutted because the one Holy Grail movie I cannot get. Yeah, I know that in other countries they can see it, like America, but like, we were a poor family. I was never going to America. Never in my wildest dreams going to America. So a very poor family, and I knew I could never get this movie. And it didn't matter because I still kept trying. I'd go to every pirate video store and ask them. They were like, no. They always had just new movies, like loads of Van Damme. I remember I bought Hard Target and Ninja Turtles and stuff like that from pirate video stores. But I couldn't get Texas Chainsaw. I'll go to jumble sales searching because there must have been copies at some point. So it wasn't just that was banned though. I mean, there were certain scenes that were cut from films. Like, if I remember buying a Bruce Lee box set, and I remember anything with nunchucks was banned from British cinema. So Enter the Dragon, when he does that whole big nunchuck scene, that was gone from videos in Britain. You couldn't see that. If you bought a newer copy of the video, I mean, if you bought the 70s copy, you might have it if you were lucky to have it. But any copy done after the 80s, you would not have that nunchuck scene, which is like the best scene in the film. It's also the same with Way of the Dragon. There was actually a scene cut in Way of the Dragon that was cut so bad that he walked with the bad guys to an alleyway to fight them. There was kind of him there. One kick happens. Next thing, he's back in the restaurant that he just walked out of, sitting down, ordering the bad guys around. But you don't know what he'd done to him in the alley because they cut the entire scene out. Really ridiculous. So a lot of things sort of either cut or banned. And I needed to find Texas Chainsaw Massacre because no matter what film I watched, it referenced it. If TV shows referenced it, X-Files referenced it, and I still was like, I need to see this film. Fast forward to 1999, and I got asked to join some people on a holiday to a Club 8 in the 30 holiday to Tenerife. And it's not really my film. I was never really a clubbing person. Like, I wasn't that type of holiday type person, but I went along anyway because it was an experience. I was 18. Why not have a fun experience? And the holiday was okay-ish, you sort of enjoying yourself in ways. I ended up on a TV show called Tenerife Uncovered, actually. You can see me in the pool scene at one point. I thought it was quite fun. First time on telly. So then I was like quite excited, to be honest, crazy holiday. And I'm walking one day down like a strip where you've got like all the shops and fast food outlets and stuff like that. And I literally stop in my tracks because on the side of a pizza place, there was a little chalkboard. And on the chalkboard, it said movies, and then it had the words Evil Dead, and under that it said Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I was like, no way. I said to my friends, stay here. I ran to this little pizza place. I said, do you have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre like video? Do you have it? And he went, yeah. He said, it's a pirate copy, but we have it. And I was like, oh, I need that film. And I can't remember, I think it cost me, around about $5 in like the Spanish money at the time. I can't remember what it was called at the time, pesetas or something, I don't know. But now it's euros, isn't it? But whatever it was at the time. And I remember paying my money for it, and I had the copy, and it was like a, a cardboard case video, and on the side of it, it said Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and someone had drawn a picture of a chainsaw, and I thought that was great. So I've got this film. No way of watching it in Tenerife, but I knew I could watch it when I got home. So I took the film back to the hotel and that, and anyway, so then we're getting ready to leave, and it suddenly dawns on me, I now have an illegal videotape that I'm trying to get back into England. And I have a panic attack where I think I'm going to get stopped at customs and they're going to try and arrest me for some sort of illegal contraband thing. So I have figured it will be a really good idea to cover all my clothes around this videotape. And I was thinking that's great. And then I suddenly realised when I got to the airport, I'd watched some of these airport shows and they can see through all that stuff. So I figured all they're going to see now, and I've made myself look even more guilty than I could possibly do, is a videotape covered in stuff. So they're going to think that's God knows what's he trying to do that anyway. Luckily for me, that never happened. And I managed to get the videotape through customs, through the airport and back home. And I'd like to tell you that I was cool about it, and I got home and I had a couple of days. No, I didn't. The second I walked through that door, I threw my suitcase down, I opened it up, pulled out the video, ran upstairs, whacked it in my video player and watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Literally, I was tired from the flight, the journey. Yeah, I still had to see this film. It was a must. I'd waited nearly, 8 years to see this movie. I started hearing about it from like when I was about 12, and now I'm 18. And I'm like, I need to see this now. I put it on, and it was one of the worst copies of a pirate video you've ever seen. It was very blurry, flickery, really sort of dark in colour. The voices were all tinny, so they were all like a bit wobbly, and all the sounds were kind of weird. The Foley effect sound seemed to be higher than everything else, but I always find that with pirate movies, the Foley effects are normally a bit higher. So the sound was off, but I sat and watched this film in its entirety. And I noticed some weird things about the film. One, the film I thought was going to be the goriest movie I'd ever watched, the most disgusting movie, didn't actually turn out to be that gory. Like, there was no real chainsaw massacre as such. Like, you see Leatherface obviously kill people, you see everything that happens in the movie. It's not a very nice movie, but it's a movie that was more about tension and making you feel uncomfortable. It wasn't a movie that the horror side of it was the good, but it was more you feel for the people in it. It was one of the first times I'd watched a movie, and the scene at the dinner table, I actually wanted to jump into that movie to save that girl. Like, I felt so bad for this poor girl who's going through absolute hell, and they're laughing at her, and she's just screaming like she doesn't know what to do. She's going mental, this poor girl. And I felt so bad for her. And that's the first time in a film where I actually physically just wanted to jump into that thing to try and save this girl. Although I will say, it's the only time, well, not the only time, but it was the very first time I've watched someone disabled in a movie that I've wanted to die. Because that guy was annoying the crap out of me. I know that his voice was kind of annoying anyway, but then the tinniness of the voice made it even worse. And the stuff he was coming out with, I was kind of rooting for Leatherface when he does because that is the only chainsaw killing really in the film, apart from him chasing after the other one. That's the chainsaw killing. But generally, I watched the film and I was actually quite pleased with the film, even though it was so bad. Anyway, so then we fast forward a few more years later, and all I've got is this crappy version of the film, and then suddenly they lax the laws. And it was around the time DVDs came out. There is all this information on Wikipedia, so I don't really want to go. If you want to find out more about it, type in video nasties into Google and click on the Wikipedia bit, and it will basically give you the breakdown of everything that happened involving them banning these movies and the reason why, and the Mary Whitehouse thing. And it was funny because she died, I think, in the early 2000s. Around the time DVDs were starting to come out. I don't know if that was to do with a loophole or not. But basically, they laxed all the laws so that certain films that were banned, like The Exorcist or Spit on Your Grave, suddenly all started to come out. And a lot of them come out on DVD, because all those seem to just come straight out on DVD. But a lot of the videos came out as well, and it was crazy because I remember I was sort of in the sixth form at this point, so I was like eight. It was after, no, actually, it was a couple of years after that. It was a few years after. I was in my early 20s. So all these films that I'd longed for were now coming out, and it was great because I could see all these like epic films that I'd only heard about. But of course, Chainsaw Massacre came out, and I actually went and bought it on video again, a proper copy this time, and watched it again, and it was a lot better this time. I actually get to the opening segment. I actually worked out what some of that stuff was because in my pirate copy I couldn't see any of it. There was like a statue that had been like made out of human parts and that. I didn't actually see that until I watched the copy of the proper video years later. So, because as I said, the graininess of my pirate copy was so bad. But yeah, so then I managed to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre and improperly, and it was good. And it is a good film. It's still a good film now. It's a very creepy film. It's not what you think it's going to be. So if you've never seen it before, you hear the title Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you've heard the legend of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. When you watch it, it's not actually that gory. It's more a psychological thing, that film. For what it is, it's the psychology of like these poor kids. They just getting got by these nutters. But, and then of course you heard the story of it's all based on a true story, and it turns out it's the story of Ed Gein, which is very different. But elements of that has been used, but then Ed Gein's the base of most of these slasher movies, and Psycho itself, that was based on Ed Gein as well. So, but because the premise that the Chainsaw Massacre is like based on a true story, and a lot of people believe that actually happened. A lot of people do actually believe that went on. But it's obviously, we know it's loosely based on the Ed Gein story. But yeah, definitely worth a watch. If you haven't seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it is a Holy Grail movie. When you're watching other movies, you will hear it referenced in multiple other movies. And it's just a good thing to see, just to know what they're talking about. So anyway, that was my little Texas Chainsaw Massacre story. I know it's not a mega story, but it's just like how I went from on a mission, I need to find a film, and I finally found it in the weirdest of places and watched it and got to live that. And I just thought it was an interesting story to tell you. Anyway, this is the first video I've done in a while properly. I took a break just after Christmas, and to be honest with you, I run out of time to do anything these days because like I've busy work life and kids and all other stuff. But I'm going to try and do a few more videos now. We're going to try and get back into the swing of it. Got a few more planned, so hopefully you'll like them. Anyway, so it's the Grand. My name's Paul, by the way. It's the Grand Brilliant channel. Well, that's a stupid name, but that comes from school and something that happened in school, so it's kind of a funny name. And yeah, as my kids always say, like and subscribe, because that's what people do. So if you did like it, subscribe. You might see some more stuff. And if you like know anyone else that might like it, let them know. Let them share it. And also, if you've got like a similar story, if you've got like a Holy Grail movie that you were trying to find and never could, please put in the comment below. I'd like to hear your story because I love listening to stories like this. So if you've got, or even it's a Holy Grail, maybe it's an action figure or a comic book or something that in pop culture that you sort of wanted desperately, it might even be that. A lot of people want that and they can't get it now because they stopped making them. So he might go up in price. I might be an antique sort of thing here in the future. I don't know. But yeah, those Strickle Street have stopped making those, so that might be worth some money in the future. But yeah, if you've got anything like that, like a Holy Grail thing that you went on a quest to find, please put it in the comments. Send me a message or something. So I kind of like your story. So anyway, first story. Have some fun and enjoy yourselves. Yeah. Have a good night. See you soon. Bye.